terror continues to thrive. It continues to grow unchecked. And we just saw another example of this. These Western democracies are all following the same playbook. Whose playbook? A shadow government called the World Economic Forum, and whoever it is that operates behind the scenes. Some Nazi sounding German named Klaus Schwab has the ability to demand that every world leader, every powerful and influential person on planet Earth with a private jet and an entourage feels that it's necessary to fly to Davos, Switzerland once a year to hear what he has to say. Who is he? Who appointed him? Figure that one out, my friends, and you'll figure out who runs the world.
The trust factor is your ticket to a better life. The trust factor shows you how to get through the night.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Trust Factor podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Unfortunately, more terrible news is circulating. Another Jew has died in Canada at the hands of militant ideologies, an ideology that has been fashioned over time, seemingly intentionally, by the powers that be. When you allow effigies of Jewish people to be hung in the street wearing kippahs, when you allow people to run around chanting death to Israel, death to America, death to the West, when you give them police escorts, when the police are bringing them coffees and snacks at their protest, when police are not willing to do their job of policing and to remove the threat, when there are no consequences to the actions of terrorists, then terror continues to thrive. It continues to grow unchecked. And we just saw another example of this, my friends. Where? Australia. Shouldn't come as a surprise to you. These Western democracies are all taking lead from each other. They are all following the same playbook. Whose playbook? That's for the world to determine. In my opinion, it comes from a shadow government called the World Economic Forum, and whoever it is that operates behind the scenes. Why do I think it's the World Economic Forum? Because you explained to me why some Nazi sounding German named Klaus Schwab has the ability on his own, who is he, to be able to demand that every world leader and every powerful and influential person on planet Earth with a private jet and an entourage feels that it's necessary to take time off from their schedules and fly to Davos, Switzerland once a year to hear what he has to say. Who is he? Who appointed him? Who put this guy in charge? Figure that one out, my friends, and you'll figure out who runs the world. Australia. Do you remember those two nurses that were caught on camera a year or two ago where they were on a Zoom call with somebody and they had said very clearly that if a Jew was under their care in their hospital, they would disconnect the Jew. They would make sure that he didn't survive. Do you remember that? Yeah, well, that wasn't that long ago. And the news just came out today that the video proof, the evidence of these two saying exactly what they said, which was incriminating, is not admissible in court. Interesting. Do you know why? Because they weren't aware that they were being recorded. That's interesting, eh? Because you know what would happen if they knew they were being recorded? They would have lied. They would have never said what they were really thinking. So the judge threw it out. And therefore, these people are ultimately not going to be held accountable. That's the message that people get when they watch the conflict, when they see how people are not being held to account, when they see that the government is giving these terrorists protection under Western democracies. They're allowed to do in our countries the things that they're not even allowed to do in their own countries. And we're welcoming them here with open arms. It is our policies that were brought down from this World Economic Forum and their agenda of globalism that is causing this problem. Who's fighting it? The only one you see fighting it right now is Donald Trump. And that's why he's taking all the heat that he's taking. And just one more thing on Donald Trump, and we'll get right back into our book. This is current events, my friends. You guys are all jonesing for it. I see the numbers. Everybody's interested. They want to have their finger on the pulse. Donald Trump seemingly went against his number one partner, Israel. He went against the state that he loves so much in his desire to make a peace deal with Iran, that he made it seem that he had no interest in a friendship with Israel, and suddenly he has all the interest in the world in a friendship with Iran. Does that make sense? It doesn't. Can we be so foolish to believe something like that? And the answer is you should not be. It is clear that he has an agenda, that he's trying to pull strings, that he's trying to call in favors, that he's trying to do whatever he can, even if it means manipulating the truths to be able to get a deal done. Remember, he's talking about a nation that itself over generations has been the underlying cause of the instability, the war-torn, terrorism-torn area, the region called the Middle East. And it has been like that for generations. It all happens because of Iran. You want that to change overnight? It won't. You want it to be easy? It won't be easy. But if anybody's going to do it, it's going to be Donald Trump. That's the bottom line. Many have tried in the past, but they've tried by placating. He's no longer placating. He's been playing tough when he needs to play tough, and he's being diplomatic when he needs to be diplomatic. But the most important thing is to remember what my rabbi said not long ago when asked his perspective on this issue. And he said, we cannot forget the good that somebody does for you. Even 30 years later, somebody did something good for you 30 years ago. You are not allowed to forget that. You have to have gratitude for that individual who did good for you. Gratitude, you remember I talked about it all throughout season 1, is the secret sauce to success. You want to be successful in this life, you have to have eyes to see when somebody does good for you, and you have to appreciate that till your dying day. It's not something that you forget on a whim. And if you do, then they will stop doing the good that they've been doing for you. You have to continue to appreciate it. And without a doubt, the number one individual, the number one president of the United States in terms of the amount of good that has been done for the state of Israel, outwardly and obviously, has been Donald Trump. He's held no punches. He's come out swinging in her defense time and time again. Even today, when he's trying so hard to lie and to manipulate the system to make a deal with Iran, when the reporters ask him questions about his relationship with Bibi, he tries to downplay it, but he can't. He trips over his words. He wants to say derogatory things, but you could see that he can't. He always has to mitigate. He always has to pull back, and the truth comes out. It slips out. It suppresses that desire to lift up Iran at Israel's expense. He can only do it so much. He's tried so many times. Why? Because that's a real friendship, but he's doing everything he can to be able to secure that peace in the Middle East. He's done it with bombs, missiles, with attacks, fighter planes, and today he's doing it, or he's trying to, with diplomacy. Give him room. He hasn't flipped overnight. And if he has, there's a God that runs this world, my friends. But remember, somebody doesn't go from being the number one supporter of Israel outwardly, in front of the cameras and behind the cameras, in his actions, in his words, in his deeds. He's the number one ally of Israel. To flip because he's trying to do a deal, guys, come on. It couldn't be any more obvious. Bottom line, the confusion that is in the world, that is in the media, is designed to make us realize that there is a God that runs this world. If you keep running around trying to find the answer to why things are happening as they're happening, you're going to drive yourself mad. Stop doing it and start focusing on the good stuff that God wants you to focus on. Let's get into it. The guy's in the doghouse. He's been kicked out of the house. His wife kicked him out because they are in a toxic relationship. He is not behaving in a way that is an example for his spouse and his children. And as a result of that, he gets shown in the door, and now he's kicked out of his house. How does he make his way back in? First rule, acknowledging that there is a creator and that everything comes from him. I know there is a God. That's step number one. If it's all random, if it's all coincidence, good luck, my friend. You're left to your own devices. You're left to a world full of self-serving individuals. Number one, God exists and he runs the world. He didn't drop us off over here and take off. He didn't just create the world and say, now you operate on your own good luck. He's intimately involved in our life, which takes us to level number two. What's level two of Emunah? Knowing that that very same creator loves us infinitely, and that his role is entirely and exclusively to be able to benefit us, just to do for us, to give us all of the things that we need to succeed, and to remove from us all of the stumbling blocks that are going to hold us back. We said that the other day. We said the only time that we would put a stumbling block in front of our child is when it is there to benefit them. And God does the exact same thing. If he's not letting you advance in a certain area, it's because that advancement will be detrimental to your success. Very simple. Same way we would put up a gate in front of stairs for a child who cannot navigate those steps. That's the stumbling block. God puts those types of blockades in front of us when they are detrimental to us. We don't understand it. The same way the small toddler has no idea why their parent is able to leave them alone and climb those stairs, and they're stuck behind this gate. It's the same thing. You're looking at your friend climbing the stairs of life and seemingly being successful. He's ready for it. He can navigate it. You're not ready for it. When you're ready, that gate will be removed. How do you get ready? Remember that there is a creator and there is a system that we need to plug into. And now we finish off with the third. So this guy who's up in the doghouse, how does he get back in the house? It says, how can I get close to the creator from within everything that is happening to me? In other words, how do I take level one, the knowledge that he exists, and level two, that everything he does is for my best? And how do I utilize those two ideas to be able to implement level three of Emunah, which is to utilize them to get back in the house? And he says, now that you're free from the pressure and tensions of the home, you're no longer locked in that environment. The husband can work on himself. He can learn what his mistakes were and look for the root of the problem. He can pray about the situation and fix whatever needs fixing. If he truly repents, then the one who truly evicted him, the creator, will send him back home again. Bottom line is this. If you're the type of person who's terrified to be alone, it's time to change. I love my alone time. It's very important. Obviously, it needs to be in proportion. You have your obligations and your duties to your family, to your children, to your coworkers, to your employees, to your partners. So it has to be within reason. But to take your own time every day or every week, take 10, 15 minutes, an hour a day, or a day a week, whatever it is, and make it your own quiet time. Spend time with yourself. Get into your own head and think. A lot of people who don't have God in their lives are terrified to get into their own heads because they're scared of what they will find. They're scared that they won't be able to manage the ideas that are in their own heads. And that's because they're missing out on the knowledge that there is a creator. They believe that it is all them. It's all society. I'm susceptible to whatever society throws on me. Whatever people come at me with, I'm going to have to deal with because it's all random. It's all coincidence. Nothing is planned. Nothing is from a loving creator. They're not thinking that way. If you think that way, if you know that way, that God runs this world, that he loves you, everything is perfect, and that he's just waiting for you to get up and do something, you don't fear getting into your mind. On the contrary, you want to get into your head because you want to do this very thing. You want to stop and assess. How am I doing? How are the choices that I'm making working out for me? If you don't have the time to do that because you're inundated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by everybody who's pulling on you, your employees, your bosses, your coworkers, your spouse, your children, your parents, your in-laws, everybody's pulling at you. Everybody wants a piece of you. Non-stop distractions. If you're not able to disconnect from that, block out the entire world and just sit down with your thoughts and your creator, then you will never truly be able to assess your life and the decisions that you're making. Are you choosing good or are you choosing bad? And so ultimately, you're going to keep choosing negatively. You're going to keep making the wrong choices, and it's going to compound and get out of hand. You need to take that time for yourself, and you need to take these three principles of Emunah and review them. Remind yourself that there's a creator, that he loves you, and that you have to tap into what it is that he wants of you to make sure that you are actually living that life. And if you're not, stop and make the changes. That's why it's important to start early. It says it over here. From here, one must learn to deal with problems while they are still small. Nip it in the bud. You know what that comes from? The bud is the starting of a blossom. When you cut it out early on, it doesn't get the opportunity to blossom. You need to cut out the problem before it grows. Start quickly. How do you start quickly? By taking time every day. When you daven, when you pray, sometimes it can take you upwards of 45 minutes to be able to pray in the morning. Then you've got another 20 or 25 minutes in the afternoon, and then you've got another 20 minutes in the evening. Altogether, you've got nearly an hour and a half of time to be able to take a few minutes at each point and reflect. What choices did I make today? Were they good? Could they have been better? What should I change, and how do I change it? If you're not doing that every day in your prayers, you're missing out on a golden opportunity to improve your life. That's what this is all about, my friends. It's about living the best version of you that you could possibly live. How do you do it? Follow the precepts of the Torah, and you will come out on top every single time. We'll continue tomorrow. Have a great day. Thank you for spending time with us on the Trust Factor podcast. If you've heard something today that moved you, save this episode and share it with someone who might need to hear it. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming conversations that challenge, empower, and uplift. And if you're on social media, connect with us. Leave your thoughts. Drop a quote that resonated with you. Hashtag the Trust Factor podcast. Until next time, keep growing in your trust and keep living with purpose. I'm Jesse Revivo, and this has been the Trust Factor Podcast. Thanks for listening.